4 through 28. So I'll read the Sanskrit and the English translation for the first 3. Evam Rastat Shridat Parita Pravishta Sankavidvo Vatri Swam Akshay Yojana Yamaha Samanena Chatari Mandurena Parito Yasmin Sakonama Mahiroha Sva Shikra Yape Deshako Yasyaha Maha Surapi Gandastam Vivam Anuvasyati. Translation: outside the ocean of milk is another island, Sakadweep, which has a width of 3,200,000 yojanas, which is 25,600,000 miles. As Vrindavan is surrounded by its own ocean of milk, Shakadweep is surrounded by an ocean of churned yogurt as broad as the island itself. In Shakadweep, there is a big shaka tree from which the island takes its name. This tree is very fragrant. Indeed, it lends its scent to the entire island. Text 25. Vasyati Rayavrata Evati Tapir Namna Medatiti Zopi Vivaja Saptavarshani Pranamana Desh Swatmajani Purojava Manojava Pavamana Durranika Chitra Repa Baburupa Vishpadara Samjana Nida Yadi Patin Svayam Bhagavat Yananda Evasita Matis Tapopanam Pravi Vesha. Translation, text 25. The master of the island, also one of the sons of Priyavrata, was known as Medatiti. He also divided his island into 7 sections, named according to the names of his own sons, whom he made the kings of that island. The name of those sons are Kurojava, Manojava, Pavamana, Dumranika, Chitradepa, Vaparupa, and Vishwadara. After dividing the island and situating his sons as its rulers, Medatiti personally retired, and to fix his mind completely upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he entered a forest suitable for meditation. Text 26. Ekasham Varsha Maryala Irayo Nadyascha Sapta Sataiva Ishana Varush Shringo Balabhadra Sakta Sharaha Sahasra Sroto Devapalo Mahanasa Iti Anaga Yurda Uvayas Krishtir Aparajita Panchapadi Sahasra Srutir Nijadritir Iti. Translation, text 26. For these lands also there are 7 boundary mountains and 7 rivers. The mountains are Ishana, Ushringa, Balabhadra, Saktakshira, Sahasra, Srota, Devapala, and Mahanasa. The rivers are Anaga, Ayurda, Ubayas Krishti, Aparajita, Panchapadi, Sahasrasruti, and Nijadriti. Text 27. Advarsha Purusha, Vittavrata, Satyavrata, Dana Virtana, Nuvrata, Namano, Bhagavantam, Vayu, Atmanam, Pranayama, Viduta, Rajas, Tamasa, Parama, Samadhina, Yajante. The translation. The inhabitants of those islands are also divided into 4 castes: Viddivrata, Satyavrata, Ganavrata, and Anuvrata, which exactly resemble Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. They practice pranayama mystic yoga, and in trance they worship the Supreme Lord in the form of Vayu. Text 28, which is on the board. Antaha pravisya bhutani yo vivarti atma ketuvi antayam ishvara sakshat patu no yad vaseshtam. So we'll chant it together. Anta pravisya bhutani yo vivarti atma ketuvi antayam ishvara sakshat entering within. Bhutani, all living entities. Yaha, Vivarti, maintains. Atmaketuvi, by the functions of the inner airs. Prana, Mana, etc. Antaryami, the super soul within. Ishvara, the supreme person. Sakshat, directly. Vatu, please maintain. Naha, us. Yatvase, under whose control? Shkutam, cosmic manifestation. Translation. The inhabitants of Sakatri worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Vayu in the following words. That's in parentheses. O Supreme Person, situated as the Supersoul within the body, you direct the various actions of the different airs, such as prana, and thus you maintain all living entities. O Lord, O Supersoul of everyone, O Controller of the cosmic manifestation, under whom everything exists, may you protect us from all dangers. Report by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Through the mystic yoga practice called pranayama, the yogi controls the airs within the body to maintain the body in a healthy condition. In this way, the yogi comes to the point of trance and tries to see the supersoul within the core of the heart. Pranayama is the means to attain samadhi, trance, in order to fully absorb oneself in seeing the Supreme Lord as Antriyami, the supersoul within the core of the heart. Can you repeat the translation? The inhabitants of Sakadri worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Vayu in the following words. O Supreme Person, situated as the Supersoul within the body, you direct the various actions of the different airs, such as prana, and thus you maintain all living entities. O Lord, O Supersoul of everyone, O Controller of the cosmic manifestation, under whom everything exists, may you protect us from all dangers. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Svaya Rupakatamaya Tati Sthapitam Nikam Panchakopa Durvishcha Prikasaluka Ekacha Titanam Bhavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So I started with verse 24, leading up to this verse 28, and of course it was describing the length and breadth of different planetary systems and different oceans. And these verses, and this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th canto, is I find very interesting in many ways. I was with Srila Prabhupada when he was translating this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto. This was going on in 1975. You know, it's a very wonderful thing. You can put time, person, places to what's going on here with Srimad Bhagavatam, what Srila Prabhupada was doing. Because at this time, 1975, maybe the classes in the temple room might be from 2nd canto, 1st canto, 3rd canto. But obviously, 1975, he's translating the 5th canto. We're not doing classes on 5th canto. This is not going on. But when you're with Prabhupada 24 hours a day, you got to see everything was connected. It wasn't, you know, in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. This is what he's doing. He's translating at this time. It might be a Tuesday morning, but he's translating this. And then 4 hours later, he's on the morning walk. What is he doing? He's discussing what he was translating. Not all the time, but especially during this period. Because these were very controversial, you could say, to the materialists, to his young Western disciples. When Prabhupada started translating in the 5th canto, talking about the universes, the distances, the different planetary systems, and of course it always went back to the moon, this created a lot of controversy and sometimes difficulty for disciples to accept. I wanted to read one thing. This is from my book, What is the Difficulty? And I actually wrote this I was writing this in 2005, and at the time I was in Rishikesh, up above Rishikesh, staying for a month, and I was completing these different stories about Srila Prabhupada. So somehow that particular day, which was almost 10 years to the day, maybe in a few weeks, I wrote while in Perth. So this is where Prabhupada was translating this very spot, this area of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was in Perth, Australia in May of 1975. And he was there, supposedly he was there regaining his health. This was always one of the things. Perth, Australia was, I mentioned, I think in last class, was a vacation town. It was right by the beach on the west coast of Australia. A very nice city, ocean city. And Prabhupada was staying in the house. One brahmachari, his parents, let him stay in the house. So it was just a small vacation cottage. And Prabhupada doing this every day, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, which was also rare. He would ring the bell, and he would call us into his room, Paramahamsa and myself, because of what he was translating. So this day, I'd say, Prabhupada engaged his disciple in many lively conversations during the morning walks. He was translating this area, and he would have mock debates. And Prabhupada would sometimes question his disciples. And he would say, he would want you to be, we say in English, the devil's advocate. So he would want you to present to materialists. What do they say? What do they say? They said I would sometimes get involved, but usually I would let Paramahamsa Swami, who was the secretary, and he was a little more adept at it. I was always afraid to get involved with these things with Prabhupada because I didn't feel qualified, and I was afraid of saying the wrong thing. Because sometimes you could, in your idea, assume the position as devil advocate and present him materialistic arguments. You may think, well, I don't subscribe to these arguments. I'm just saying it for Prabhupada to help serve him. But sometimes he would look at you as if you were the doubter. One time a devotee said, you know, Prabhupada, they say Bhagavad Gita, it was written within 2,000 years. And this is, they like to say that in the Christian world. Bhagavad Gita is not 5,000 years. It goes back less than 2,000 years. That way it's inside the Christian philosophy. So one devotee once said that to Prabhupada in a morning walk. Prabhupada, they say, Prabhupada looked at him, well, why do you think like that? You know, then immediately he would just, what could you say next? No, I don't think that, Prabhupada. Then why are you saying it? You know, so sometimes when we talk, we were raising our doubts, what we were thinking in the form. So he could read through these things. I said sometimes he would call us into his room and discuss the Vedic cosmology. One day he told us that different planetary orbits were all independent and that the so-called law of gravity was not mentioned in the Vedas. Once Paramahamsa Swami asked him, how is it the sun is always shining somewhere on the earth planet if it's going behind Sumeru mountain? Wouldn't it be dark on the entire planet? Prabhupada was silent. And then he said, we're not so interested in these details. The Bhagavatam is just a very short summary to give some idea of the creation of the Lord. But it's not scientific. We're not interested in science. We're interested in developing love of God. It was evident, say, Prabhupada didn't want us to become sidetracked from the goal. He worked non-stop to teach us. He continued, he said, if this were to be scientific, it would take volumes to explore how the creation is done. But this was not Sukadeva Goswami's purpose in speaking, to explain very scientifically the creation. He just wants us to understand Krishna has created everything. Develop love of Krishna, that's all. If you can't understand it, you accept it because it's there in the scriptures. We don't bother our minds trying to understand how it could be like this. It seems difficult. We're not concerned. We just want to Actually, I'm not giving any more information, simply what is there. I'm not an astronomer, so I may not understand all the details. These details are given in another part of the Vedas. Sukadeva Goswami is giving some basic summary ideas of the universal operation. So this is what he was telling us. Because for us, Westerners, who grew up hearing within the schools, from the time you went to grade school, through high school, and college, you were delivered a certain understanding about the universe. So Prabhupada's saying our business was to develop love of God. But he would bring us in daily. And on the morning walks, he would have these debates with the different disciples that were there. And at that time, of course, then also the moon came up. So now again, this was a very big subject and created devotees left. There were devotees that just could not accept. Because Prabhupada would say, we definitely did not. He said, I said so many times we have not gone to the moon. He said, maybe, he would say different things. Maybe some other planet. He said, but not the moon. He said, it's not possible. Then when he was translating in the fifth canto, he would say, too far away. So this is going on day after day. And for me, those who know me here, have heard me over time here, I'm not, philosophy for me is not such an easy thing. I just appreciated Prabhupada very much, seeing what he did, his presence, his chanting, everything. See, he was pure devotee. So whatever he said, I accepted. And this is what Prabhupada did. And this is what he was describing here. His evidence was Shastra. Once he read it in Shastra, that was it. He doesn't want to hear anything else from outside sources. Because he would say, what is the foundation? The materialist, what is their foundation? I'm this body. So everything he would say, you put on top of that, it's not useful. Because their very foundation is they're thinking, I'm this body. Our foundation is we're spirit and soul. So as I said, Perth was a nice little vacation home. There was in the back, they had a backyard. British Commonwealth, there was a garden. The garden in the rear had a swimming pool, an in-ground swimming pool. And when the weather was nice, I would give Prabhupada massage right next to the pool. And then he would go into the pool for his bath. And he turned it into a nice bathing yacht there, a nice kun. So he was doing this every day, give Prabhupada massage with the sun shining. Then he would bathe in the pool. So the one day, I'm giving him massage. Just the two of us are there. Now you remember this environment. Every day, Prabhupada's talking about these planets. Every day he's seeing, hearing from his disciples. And he's thinking, what are these people going to do? How are they going to accept? As he said, we accept. Our interest is the love of God. So I'm rubbing his back. Prabhupada always talked to me during massage while I was behind him. I can never remember me being in front of him and having a conversation. Half of the massage was behind him, so I guess you could say it was a 50-50 chance. But it always seemed like I was behind him, but he wasn't looking directly at me. So I'm rubbing, and he says, so, we have to understand, we accept. The Shastra is our mother. So we accept the Shastra. He says, do you agree? What are you going to say? I said, no, I don't agree with that. He said, yes, Prabhupada. That was an easy question. I'm very happy. I got the answer, yes. That's what you want to do. The disciple were yes men. Whatever you guru said, yes, Prabhupada, that's correct. So he says that. And then he said, so, what do you say? Shastra's mother says, course, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can only know the Father through the Mother. Is that correct? Yes, Prabhupada. Very happy, a very knowledgeable disciple. And then he said, so, what do the scientists say? Oh, now that's... What do the materialists, what do they say? So I'm thinking, okay, he's asking me, what does the materialist say? So I said, I'm thinking, rubbing, massaging, and I said, well, they would say, you have to accept that your mother is telling the truth. I thought that was a very reasonable answer, right? You know, your mother's saying this is your father, you have to accept that. So I put in that little doubt. I said, well, you have to accept your mother is telling the truth. I said the wrong thing. What do you mean? She's your mother, must be the truth. You have to, and then he immediately turns into the Shastra. You have to accept Shastra. What are you doing here if you don't accept the Shastra? I said, what did I do? I was just trying to be the materialist for a minute. He got very angry with me. But you must accept. How can you understand if you don't accept the Shastra? He said, we must have faith in the Shastra. So, yes, brother, yes, brother. He said, never mind. Got angry with me. And then I'm just massaging it. I just thought I was trying to engage in this debate. You know, Prabhupada started a debate. I was just doing what everyone else did. And that's why I never did. I was quiet on the morning. I just held that microphone. Let everybody else talk, get yelled at. Not my business. So I massaged a few more minutes. And then he asked the same question again. He said, so, what do they say? I'm thinking, who is they he's talking about? You know, what do they say? Materialists. Your mother says, this is your father. What would they say? And of course, he obviously wanted a different answer. He wanted something, I guess, a little more scientific, a little more philosophical. I didn't know anything else. And I rubbing and hesitating, and I went and I said the same thing again. Not intelligent, right? Once I already got chastised, and then again I said the same thing because it's the only thing I could think of. I guess because that's what was there in my head. That was my doubt. Of course, we have to accept. What's our business reading this? You can read day after day, sit in class day after day. But if you're reading and you have doubts, what good is all your reading? What good is all your philosophy? So this is what he was saying. What do they say? How do you understand? And I was saying, well, you have to believe that it's all. That this is the truth coming from your mother, from the Shastra. Oh, and then he got really angry. He was screaming at me. Why are you here, he said, if you don't accept, if you don't have faith? What are you doing here? He said, go. Massaging him. He said, go, get it. So what's your business here if you don't have faith in the Shastra? I said, yes, but I have faith in the Shastra. Yes, you must have faith in the Shastra. I said, yes, Prabhupada. All right, he said, I'm finished. I'm not talking anymore. He just shut me down. Told me to be quiet. He said, I'm going to be quiet now. I don't want to talk to you about this anymore. So that was the rest of the massage. He didn't say one word. And I kept thinking, what did I do? I thought I was trying to be devil's advocate. You know, I was just doing what every day so many were doing. They say this and they say that. So that's what I thought I was doing. But anyway, Prabhupada wasn't happy. Not happy with me at all. And then he finished massage, and he went, bathed in the pool. Soaked everything. He went into the pool, had a bath. So, then the rest of the day went on. Of course, I prepared his lunch. Had lunch. And then he would just move on. You know, it wasn't that anxiety, that frustration, that anger was there. You didn't see it anymore, but it was just something you didn't speak about anymore. So then that was the whole day. So then the nighttime came. What do? I give Prabhupada a massage again. So now we're in this little bedroom, and it's dimly lit. Massaging Prabhupada. I'm already not thinking too much about the daytime. These things happen when we were with Prabhupada. It wasn't, there was lots of forms of ecstasy when you were with Prabhupada. Sometimes the ecstasy could take very frightening turns for a disciple. But it was all ecstasy. It was in connection with Prabhupada. So now I'm massaging him. And he said, and very softly, very soft, it was very calm, very peaceful. Always, as I say, my favorite time of the day with Prabhupada. So everything else was finished. No discussions with disciples, no translation work. This is getting ready to take rest. He had prasadam an hour before, maybe some puri, some sabji, he had his hot milk. So it was very wonderful, and you're alone, sitting in the room. So he says, he said, you accept that they never went to the moon? And I never had a problem. I didn't think I had a problem accepting it. As I say, Prabhupada knew us better than we knew ourselves. The spiritual master understands you. Why? We read in this verse, Krishna is within the heart, the super soul. So all he does is give direction. So this is the business of the spiritual master, the pure devotee, spiritual master. He's always giving you direction. Externally, he's there. Because we're so deaf, we can't hear Super Soul. And Super Soul is so kind, Krishna is so kind, he manifests as the spiritual master. And he directly gives you instructions. So now Prabhupada massaging his legs, calmly, he says, so? It's okay? Yes, Prabhupada. I said, it's okay. He said, I say you never went to the moon? I said, yes, Prabhupada. He said, okay, good. He said, I had a disciple. He said, one servant, one of his first servants, many of you know, had a servant, H.G.Surta. He said, when I said we didn't go to the moon, he became very upset. He became bewildered, he said. He couldn't accept it. He said, and he left. He was Prabhupada's direct association, Prabhupada's personal servant. Prabhupada said it didn't happen. Prabhupada saw it on the television. He was there, buried place, in his room getting massaged. Not just before lunch, he watched it. When his disciple wanted to see it, Prabhupada saw it. He never thought for a minute, these people are on the moon. We did because, we believe everything. I said the other day, they say it's easier to lie to people than to convince them that you're lying to them. Because very easily people accept lies. So he saw it. Prabhupada said, I told him, and he left. Then very compassion, so much compassion, he said to me, you're not going to leave, are you? I said, no, Prabhupada, I'm not going to leave. And he said, thank you. He was concerned. And then I realized what happened earlier in the day. It was a continuation. There was a flow. There was continuity. He was understanding me. He was asking me questions. He was testing my faith. Because he would speak, and he knew, if I speak the truth, people are going to go away. Some people are going to leave. And it happens. It happens all the time. But what was his duty? To speak the truth from the Shastra. And as we say, he wasn't concerned trying to make it palatable to others. Hari, he tells a story when he was with Prabhupada in 1976, and they were in Hawaii. And it just so happened the editor, the early editor, Prabhupada's books, I agree, but he was also there, just at that time. It just so happened. Everything is connected. And Prabhupada's sitting in his room, and he's reading Easy Journey to Other Planets. Why is that book famous? Besides speaking about the moon, why is Easy Journey to Other Planets famous? It was the first book Prabhupada wrote. He says, a friend told him, write books. People never throw books away. Magazine, you write books. So that was his first small book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. I believe around, I'm not sure what year. So then, Prabhupada's in his room, he's reading Easy Journey to Other Planets. Hari comes into the room, offers obeisances, and Prabhupada said, this very nice book, Prabhupada said, you know this book. And he said, in this book I said we never went to the moon. He said, you've read? And Hari was aware of reading the book, but he didn't remember reading that. But he didn't say anything to Prabhupada. He said, well, I haven't read it for a few years now, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes. But as it turned out, that had been edited out of the book. That very spot where Prabhupada said, didn't go to the moon. This was before moon landing. But Prabhupada said, it is not possible to go to the moon without proper credentials, without the proper spiritual body. One cannot go to heavenly planet to the moon. So that got edited out by his editor. So later, that was brought to Prabhupada's attention. He was so upset. How could you take that out of there? Prabhupada wasn't into watering down things to get bigger audience. He wasn't interested in the bigger, he was interested in presenting the truth, presenting the Shastra. Anyway, he called in his editor, apologized, very sorry, I thought that would be a little too controversial for others. So many would have doubts, how can that be there? And then it was put back in the Prabhupada's Easy Journey to Other Planets. So Prabhupada, everything was there. He gave us everything, and then he tried to make sure somehow or other we could understand. And as he would say, if you don't understand, you just move on. Eventually it will come. Realization will come. But until that time, he said, you chant, what you can accept, you accept. But not that we don't present the philosophy, not that we don't give people the truth. The truth must be there. So this was Prabhupada's business. And he did it all the time. He would give us the truth, absolute truth. When he was sitting there on the Vyasa-san, when he was writing, you could be sure he didn't put something in there just to make it palatable to others. As he said, I'm just writing what I'm reading, what I'm translating. He said, I'm not adding anything. He would sit 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. He would have his green volume. He called it the green volume. He had his Bhagavatams. He had one volume, it was the black Bhagavatam. And all it had in it was all the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam in Sanskrit. And that was there on his desk. And then he had the green Bhagavatam. And that was about 12 volumes. And that had commentaries by the great Acharya H.G.Surta. So he would read that, and he would read that, had 3 or 4 commentaries. So then he would read through that. And very often you'll see him reference the Acharyas, various Acharyas. Say Sridhar Swami says this one says this. And then he would bring it all together and give us his commentary. He said very carefully, each word he picked so carefully, to give us the truth, nothing but the truth. We say that in the courts, I say, swear on the Bible. This was because this was the idea. The Shastra is the truth. all the truth and nothing but the truth. You say, so help me God. This is, we put people under oath. So this is the oath of a devotee, to just deliver the truth. And this is what I appreciated with Prabhupada. I accepted that much I could understand. May not understand too many things, but I know if he said something, it was true. I accepted that much. He was pure devotee and he knew the truth. So we just have to come to that platform, follow his instructions, chant Hare Krishna. Everything will be fine. As Prabhupada said, everything will be all right. Don't worry. Just do that program. To cast those doubts away, all the doubts. Let them go. So I'm going to end here. I'd like to say after being here for just over 2 months, my wife and I were leaving in a day or two, so it's been very nice to be here with all of you. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and their lordships, we consider this our home. So even though we're going, we're just always thinking when to come back, when we can come back. So by your mercy, please allow us to come back, and we'll come back and see you all again. And thank you very much for being your kindness. You're living here in this most wonderful place by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. So just be happy in this place. You see, when you sit in Krishna Hall there, you see all those different signs about Vrindavan in particular. Very special place to be able to be here. So we know that. Many of us, we feel that when we're here. Just by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Srimati Radharani. So we're very, very happy to be here. So if there are any questions, comments, anything at all? We have some time left.
Thank you. So, in the beginning when I was reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then a lot of things, some things made sense. I thought, yeah, this is what I was looking for, because I was looking for the truth. I was very curious. I was like reading the Bible, and I was like, I like all kind of religious scriptures and philosophy. And then there was some of these things that did not make sense. So then after I was just trying to think, well, maybe it's not the way I see. Maybe this is the truth, and the way I think that the very experience is not. So I was just trying to have this kind of blind faith, you say. So after some time, I was reading again the same books, but then the second or the third time, it made more sense. So the more I had like, I made devotional service, I was like, doing things in the temple, like doing the floor, doing the dishes. So after some of these times, I got a little bit more purified. I could like see these things that seemed contradictory. It made more sense. So then sometimes now when I preach to people, when I distribute books or recommend some books, people have like these doubts, and they have the same doubts that I had. And then I think this is my point. I think it's like without devotional service, the books will not have sometimes not have any sense, or we won't be able to understand until we engage ourselves in devotional service and talking.
When this portion I read to you from my book, I said I was in, actually it was Ramjula, right next to the Ganga, and it was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago in a few weeks. And when I was writing that, because I had put all of this down for a long time, all these memories, they were sitting in a box in some pages, loose pages, and I would go through gradually. So I didn't even, at the time when I was with Prabhupada, I didn't put a lot of things together. That tells, when Prabhupada would talk to me, I didn't, I very rarely understood he was talking to me. Like my super soul. It was telling me what to do, giving me instruction. So even in the daytime, when that went on, he was yelling at me, must accept, why are you here? You don't have the faith, why are you, he kept saying it to me, what are you doing here? And then even when he talked to me at the nighttime, I didn't put it together that, you know, I'm with him every day. I'm his son, his servant, sitting with him. He's seeing everything I'm doing. He's knowing everything about me. Imagine such a situation, and we think we know ourselves so well. Imagine being with the person that knows everything about you. Things you don't even know that happened. Things in your future. He knows where you're headed in the future. And he's trying to guide you. And you're so dull, you don't even see it. You don't even know this is going on. He does it with such finesse, you know, such just wonderful thing. So it was 30 years later, 2005, when I finally started putting things together, and I'm still putting things together. I'm seeing the past with Prabhupada and how he just knew how he was directing me for then, and how he's still directing me now, and how things he was saying at that time were directions for me even at this time. All these things. But while I was typing furiously on my little laptop, there were these realizations, which I felt they were big realizations for me. And as I'm typing, and I'm sitting, as you did, just in a single room with the bed on there, so I'm sitting on the bed and the pillow behind me, and I'm typing away, and the whole bed's shaking. And, you know, it was a construction zone, so I'm thinking, boy, something's really going on. And I'm typing and I just feel this vibration. It just went on and on and on. So I found out, like 10 minutes later, there was an earthquake. If you remember, those who remember back 10 years ago, there was also a big earthquake. What area? Same kind of area around Nepal, but not in Nepal. Very big earthquake. So that's what was happening while I was typing on this computer my Prabhupada story and my realizations. And I was thinking, wow, that was like a big wake up. Prabhupada was shaking me, you know? Prabhupada was shaking me to wake up. And this is what he's doing all the time. Every day you read from Prabhupada's books and you hear from Prabhupada classes. These are all, I always say when Prabhupada spoke, you listen to him speak. My number one word is two words. I always say describe Prabhupada when he's giving his classes, his lectures. The first one is urgency. And he speaks with such urgency. It's like he's banging us over the head. Please understand what I'm saying. And the other thing is that love he has. That love he has for Krishna. Because of that love for everyone. That's also the cause of the urgency. He knew, I'm gone. He would say that from the beginning. I could be gone any day. He would say, I'm an old man. So he had such urgency to deliver this message. Because he knew he was the one to deliver this message. He always knew that. Prabhupada always understood that. And although he was very, very good at not expressing it, in most ways, just what he said and what he did, and the tone he used, you could understand that he couldn't say enough. Like he would say, if he had thousands of mouths, he would have been happier, because then he could have expressed Krishna consciousness so much more to us. As it was, he was frustrated with those limitations. He said, I hate going to sleep. It meant he wasn't able to speak, wasn't able to save millions and millions of souls. So that urgency is always there for all of us, whether it's due, whatever is due to our own bodies, outside forces. We have to take very serious this process, not become complacent in Krishna consciousness. Any other last questions? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.